Right, I think that will do it. Morning, lovelies. How are you all? I hope you're well. I'm just sort of scratching my head a bit and trying to work out a menu plan for the week. I'm about to go and do my shopping. But as I mentioned in that video when I came back from having my little break from social media, I'm going to have to really tighten my belt for a few weeks because February was so expensive. Not a pity party, just a statement of fact explanation for this. So, normally I give myself £50 a week to live on, and that's for everything. I take it out in cash on a Monday morning, do my shopping on a Monday morning, and you know, other bits and bobs through the week, bus fares, whatever it is. But in order to just sort of slightly get back on track, I think what I'm going to have to do is, so it's right at the end of February for me at the moment, and as we go into March, instead of having 50 quid a week to live on, I'm going to give myself 50 quid for the entire month. Yikes, it is going to be tight, and probably the same for April. However, here I am in the last week of February, and instead of giving myself 50 quid, and so I'm not going to go to the bank today. I'm just going to use what's left in my purse from last week, which I just totted it up. I've got £10.37. And normally what I would do is, that's not a bad amount to have left over after the week actually. Usually I would say it's less than a fiver. But normally if I've got a little bit left over like that, if it's more than 5 quid, I put it into my post office savings. Yay! You know I'm a saver. So that's not going to go into the post office. That's what I'm going to live on this week. So what am I going to buy? How am I going to do a week's food for £10.37? So what I've just done, really simply here, I've made a list of different meals. A lot of this is going to be sort of based on what have I got in the store cupboard, what have I got in the garden, what have I got in the freezer, etc, etc. So I've got 2 columns. Have, as in I already have it in the cupboards, what have you, and need. So I think this will work. We'll see. So I'm going to go off and do my shopping, then when I come back I'll show you what I've got, what I've paid, and what I'm going to do with it for a whole week's worth of food. There is one item though, I actually don't know how much it costs. There's one item I'm going to buy today which I haven't bought for years and years and years, decades. I might have, no, it's been decades, so I don't know how much it is. I'm going to buy a litre of milk today for a project later on, I'll explain later. And I don't know how much a litre of milk costs. So in doing my list, I'm thinking, oh, a quid for that, a quid for that, a quid for the other, 2 quid for that. A quid, by the way, if you're outside the UK, people ask, a quid is slang for a pound. It's like calling an American dollar a buck. You call it, is it a buck? Yeah. So a quid. So I don't know how much a litre of milk costs. I'm going to guess that it's, like, if I think of how much a litre of oat milk costs, I don't generally buy oat milk. I just get it in when I've got visitors so they can have it in their tea and coffee or breakfast cereal. Because when I make my own oat milk to put in my porridge, but it's quite grainy, so it's no use for adding to drinks because it sort of curdles, splits, what have you. But anyway, I'm going to guess, let's see if I'm right, that a litre of cow's milk or goat's milk, I think goat's milk is more expensive, is probably going to be similar. So I'm hedging my bets. I'm going to guess around the £1.20 mark. We'll see. Also, before I go, almost certainly I won't be able to, so it's mostly veggies I've got on this list, almost certainly I won't be able to afford to get the organic versions, which upsets me, but needs must every now and again. And as soon as the cash flow is in a better health, I'll go back to organic because I'd like to support our organic farmers. Right, okay, let's go and get this shopping done. See you back here it'll probably take me about 40 minutes. So I'll see you back here in about 40 minutes. Has a good bracing walk. Actually, it's the weather's not too bad today. At least it was dry anyway, and fairly mild. So just while I've got my outdoor shoes on, bits and bobs, I've just been into the garden to get myself a bag of just a bit of kale and some chard. So that's all going to add into this week. Right, let me show you what I got. Sorry, excuse me, I just need to turn this off. To there. Yeah, let me, sorry about that. Let me show you what I got and how much it cost. Concentrate. So, I picked up bag of carrots. This is half a kilo, 500 grams. I think that's about £1, isn't it? And these were on clearance, so they were reduced. I don't know if I can pick that up from 55 to 35p. Great. And a couple of lovely big chunky leeks. They were quite expensive. That was £2.10 for the leeks. Actually, amazingly, they must weigh the same because they're each £1.05p. Plus a swede. Now the swede are sold by the unit rather than the weight. This is 85p. This is Co-op, by the way. I don't have a great choice of shops here. I've got Budgeons, which is ridiculously expensive, and Co-op, which is quite expensive. We do now have a Lidl that has opened, but it's a bus ride away. I would say it's about 45 minutes on the bus, so it's an hour and a half before I've even done the shopping, and £6 bus fare. If I was doing a big shop, it might be worth it because that's £6 with the saving. But anyway, so that was 85p. I've got some cheddar, which was £2.79, so some of that can go in the freezer. Celery, so they didn't have, so I've got the organic, £1.80, so it's quite expensive, but they didn't have any non-organic. And it just gives so much flavour. You know, a lot of like things like lentils, beans, what have you. We're getting lovely texture, lovely nutrition from all of those things, but we want to have a bit of flavour as well. So I hummed and hawed and I thought, no, it's great for the flavour. And they look like quite chunky stalks, so where a recipe that I would normally say I'd add 3 stalks, I might just add 2, make it go a bit further. And then the final thing, the milk. So milk, for a litre of milk, it costs, well, it's 2 pints. 2 pints, and that's a little bit over a litre. It's 1.13 litres. But that was £1.20, so I wasn't far off. I looked at goat's milk. That was about, I think it was £2. I looked at organic milk. I'd have preferred organic. That was also £2. And I knew I was coming up to, actually I could have gone for it in the end. With the leeks being loose, I wasn't quite sure how much they would cost because they don't have scales near the produce so I can self-weigh them. Not to pay for them, but just to have an idea of how I'm getting on. So the whole lot came to £9, 9p. Will that be able to focus? Give it a moment. Yeah, £9, 9p. So I've forgotten what's left in the purse. I've got £1, £1.27 or 8p left. So that £1.27, 28p, that might be something to pick up later in the week if I feel like, you know, I need another swede or something. Or it could have been, I could have gone to organic milk. Right, so what am I going to do with this lot? Yeah, it's a lot of my usual culprits, but again, it's because of trying to make the most of what I have. Things like, you know, beans, pulses, buying them in bulk really reduces the price. So it's a safe bet that I'm going to have plenty of that sort of stuff in store. So I'm going to make fasolada, good old Greek bean stew. What do I have? I already have, for that, I have my equivalent of a tin of tomatoes. That's actually my frozen from my harvest last year. They're still going great. I've got beans. Beans are plenty. I've got dried beans. I've got tinned beans. I can make, you know, I can use whichever. To add to it, fresh from this lot will be swede, half of that swede. I used to make fasolada always with potato, but since stopping eating potatoes, so half the swede, some of the celery, and a couple of the carrots will go into that. Brilliant. So when I was planning this, I was thinking, right, well, if I buy a celery stalk, I'm going to have celery left over. Buy a bag of carrots, I'm going to have carrots left over. Okay, well, it makes sense then to make a carrot and lentil soup. So I have the lentils, and I'll use leftover from the fasolada, I'll use the carrots and the celery. Great. So the fasolada will make 5 evening meals. The carrot and lentils, no, 4 or 5. And the carrot and lentil soup, that will do 5 portions. Brilliant. So that's already 10 meals just from that and my store cupboard. Brilliant. Then I'm going to make, and I didn't have to buy anything for this, cashew and chickpea curry. Now, I don't have any cashews at the moment, and they're quite expensive, so I'd put them on my shopping list as a maybe, but I have got some mixed chopped nuts, so I'll just use mixed nuts instead of cashews. But otherwise, I've got the chickpeas already. Again, it requires tomatoes. I've got them in the freezer. And instead of spinach in that, I will use chard from the garden. What else on this? So I'm going to do a 3-bean chilli this week. Again, I've got everything I need for that. Tomatoes, all the beans, what have you. And then, for example, because I like a bit of cheese on my chilli, that's where the cheese comes in. Giving myself some luxuries. The cheese is a luxury. Where are we? And then I'm going to do a leek and potato soup, but instead of potato, the other half of the swede. I think I've got 4 onions in the fridge still. So all of these, when I need an onion, that's there. So next week when I do my shop and I've only got a tenner, it might be that, well, I won't be having the milk next week. So instead, I'll put onions on the list. But that's going to give me, with the fasolada, the chickpea, the cashew chickpea curry and the 3-bean chilli, that's going to give me 12 evening meals. Of course, there's only 7 evening meals in the week. So that's 5 evening meals can go to the freezer. The carrot and lentil soup, the leek and swede soup, they'll easily do, I would say they're going to do 5 portions each. That's 10 portions of soup. So 7 this week, 3 for the freezer. And then next week, I will do a couple of soups. I'll do different soups. And then that gives me that rotation. So I won't I probably won't have just carrot and lentil and just leek and swede soup this week. I might have a couple of soups out from the freezer from a previous session. So I might have a courgette soup just to mix it up a bit. But essentially I'm going to get, 12 evening meals and 10 lunches from that. So 22 meals for less than a tenner and using my store cupboard stuff. Actually, if we take the milk off, I've spent £8. Now, obviously, I'm supplementing that quite a bit with produce from the garden. There's tomatoes in almost everything, so I've saved myself £4 or £5 on tins of tomatoes this week. Now, the milk, you might be thinking, why have you bought milk, Vivi? That's because I'm going to have a go at making my own kefir yoghurt in the Instant Pot. I happen to have some starter grains already. They were bought from my budget last week, so they will work out for, if I use, so this is, what did I say, £1.20, and the grains are £1. So it's going to be £2.20, but that should give me the equivalent of 3 of those large pots that I normally have, which cost £2. So instead of spending £6 at the supermarket on it, I'm hopefully going to get it for £2.20 by making it myself. Fingers crossed. So, and if it works out, so that was the other thing, my other thinking with not buying the organic or the goat's milk, for instance, is because if it's a disaster, I don't want to spend £2 on organic milk if it's going to be a disaster in the Instant Pot, because I've never made it before, I've never tried it before. I mean, I've made yoghurt before, years and years and years and years ago. As a kid at home, we had a completely different yoghurt maker. But anyway, if it's a success, then it may be that I do this every fortnight or so. Anyway, that gives you an idea of, well, tells you what I'm eating this week, but gives you an idea of how I manage these times when it's really, really tight financially, how I'm going to still eat really well. But the point is because I'm cooking everything from scratch. I'm making the most of harvested produce from my garden. I mean, it's mostly tomatoes, let's face it. I've got 2 squash left over still from last year. So again, if in a couple of weeks' time I want to have a 0 spend week, I could say, right, only using what's in here. Yeah, I think that will do for today. I need to get cooking. I need to get something on the go. I think I might start with carrot and lentil soup, because it's going to be lunchtime. It's getting on for lunchtime. My tummy's starting to growl at me, so I shall bid you all a fond farewell for now. See you again soon. I'm not sure what's coming up next, but this will be quite soon, my go at kefir yoghurt, although I've always pronounced it kefir, but I saw someone online the other day calling it, because I was trying to look up to see how to do it in the Instant Pot, because it's not in the recipe book I bought. So I saw a woman online, she's calling it kefir. So have I been saying it wrong all this time? It's like people who say quinoa, it's quinoa. So I don't know, maybe it's too much of a habit now to change from saying kefir to kefir. I don't know which is correct. Tell me which is the correct version. Yes, please tell me. You see, I'm asking for advice. I'm asking for help. What is the correct pronunciation? Is it kefir? Sorry, kefir, like kefir, like fear, like fear, fearing the worst, or is it kefir? I can't say the two things there. I call it no, or is it Kiefer, like that other one said, like Kiefer Sutherland? There we go. That's how to differentiate. Kiefer Sutherland or kefiring the worst. Oh, my brain is going bonkers now. Right, I have to go and make some lunch. I'll see you all again really soon. Please, until then, take care and have fun experimenting in your kitchens, as always. Until the next one, cheerio, lovelies.